Everybody. For my week 2 exercises, the first one I chose is on page 20. It's the personal neuroceptive cues. It says, consider your personal neuroceptive cues. What is a cue of safety or unsafety from inside your body, from the environment, and between you and another person? I chose this one just because I think it's probably one of the most important things you can do whenever you're just trying to be grounded, is to just know your own biological cues of how do I feel? Do I feel stressed? Do I feel just overwhelmed? Do I feel safe? Do I feel like I have too many things going on? Because your body knows whenever your mind doesn't. And then just kind of a check back in with me and paying attention, making sure that I'm in tune with my body, that I know he's not going to go away. Um, and then I need to know how to teach clients how to be aware of their own biological cues. So in my experience, when my body thinks that I'm in danger, the biggest thing is that my muscles like freeze up. So out of the fight or flight, I got the freeze one. I feel paralyzed. I feel like I can't move. I know that I can, but I just feel like I shouldn't move at all. My chest feels very hollow. I haven't figured out if my heart rate speeds up or if it slows way down, but my chest feels hollow. So I know a lot of people like feel a lot of emotion in their chest. I don't. I feel my emotion in all my limbs and stuff because my muscles are so tense. Um, it becomes very difficult to speak. I think that's also part of the freeze thing. I know where that comes from as a kid. I was never really able to share my side of the story, and so you had to get yelled at and you had to just stand there and you couldn't move and you couldn't say what you thought. So that's where my freeze comes from. So I think it's difficult to speak and like form coherent sentences a lot. And I'm pretty confident from that. I get like hyper focused, which I know that that's not an abnormal thing. That's what your brain's supposed to do. I get really focused in on the situation. I don't really hear or see like other things going on. Um, and then as far as like from my environment or from other people, if I feel like I'm not being heard or understood or like I don't have a voice in the matter, if I feel like I keep trying to explain myself and I'm trying to think of a good way to say things and someone just keeps misinterpreting it over and over, um, that one is that's a big thing for me. I know whenever I'm in trying to have good communication, if I feel like people keep misinterpreting what I'm saying, no matter how many times I explain it, um, for some reason it makes my body feel like I'm in danger. And then similar environment wise, like if I'm in a group of people or if it's like just me and another person, if I feel like my boundaries and requests are not being respected, I feel like that's pretty healthy. My body would think that I'm probably in danger. Um, yeah, if I feel like I'm requesting something, again, trying to explain my side, what I need, and someone is telling me, no, you don't need that, or whatever it may be. I feel like that's not that crazy. Client application, I think the exercise is important to teach clients or just to do with yourself as a counselor because clients definitely need to be made aware of their own neuroceptive and biological cues. It's easier, not just it's easier for us, but it's easier for the client themselves to explain, this situation happened this past week. Here's how I reacted. And instead of being so unaware of, well, I don't know when I got mad, if they're able to be aware of when their body starts getting, um, either getting angry or defensive or feeling like it's unsafe, then they're kind of able to pinpoint more like, oh, this is actually what made me angry. It started way back here. And then for us as counselors, it helps us to be empathetic and understanding whenever someone says, like, I punched a hole in the drywall. Well, yeah, people's bodies do weird things. Like, you probably didn't want to, but I get it. I don't talk. So, like, that's not helpful either. So, I think it helps us as counselors to know that people are going to react differently and your client's probably going to react in ways that they don't really want to, but they need to work out why does my body do that? And then, like I said, in the moment, we can be more aware of the cues earlier. The second exercise I chose was from the third chapter, and it was the one on loneliness. And it said, why do you feel lonely and when do you feel the sweetness of solitude? So I chose that one because within the past couple years, I dealt with some health issues and recently battled with depression and feeling very lonely just based on different circumstances in my life. And I was never a very lonely person. I'm an only child, but I never really felt like chronic loneliness. Um, and so that was a very interesting experience that I think God put in my life for a reason before I became a counselor. So I'm in a different stage in my life now, and I thought it would be interesting to kind of reevaluate when do I feel lonely and then when do I like being alone. Because I think that would look different now than it did a year ago. And then I think just think it's good to be aware of when do I want to seek solitude and when like if I know that I'm probably going to want to be around people, but I can't, and I'm going to feel lonely, it's very helpful to go ahead and be aware of those times. That way I can kind of prepare for the loneliness and know how to deal with it, like for myself. So in my experience, when do I feel lonely? You've got to calm down, little dude. When do I feel lonely? I feel lonely whenever I feel very overwhelmed by problems and I just want companionship. I want someone to vent to talk to and there is nobody. Whenever there's nobody to text and there's nobody to call and no one wants to come over, and I really just I feel overwhelmed by the week. I'm an extrovert, and so it's just man, I had a bad week. I need it's like a distraction. I need to distract myself with people. I like being around people. It brightens up my mood for the most part. Um, So whenever I know that I need my mood brightened, and as an extrovert, I know that I need companionship in order to brighten up the mood, then if I can't have it, if no one's available, then I get lonely. Um, and so yeah, whenever I'm bored and I have a full social battery. And then like I said, only child, so I do feel the sweetness of solitude. I like being an only child. I like my alone time. I think it helps that I want to be a counselor, so I'm doing a lot of processing and reflecting. And then I like to be alone for that. For the most part, I do verbal processing a lot with my friends. Feel sorry for them. So whenever I need to like process and reflect, I just need time to decompress from situations. I do like to be alone. Just that way I have time to think about it however I need to think about it. And I know that I can react however I need to react. And I don't have to worry about, well, how am I being perceived by the person that I'm around right now, or am I being considerate of what they need? Like it's just about me. I can only focus on me. And then I went in the opposite order. But whenever I'm being very productive, like I'm cleaning house, I'm doing a bunch of homework, I'm doing stuff for work, like whenever I'm being very productive, don't slow my roll. That's the way it is. And then clinical application. I think it's important to teach the clients and do it yourself as a counselor. I think I said a lot of this, but knowing how to prepare or when to prepare for stages of loneliness. Like, yeah, I had a really rough week. If I want to hang out with people this weekend and I can't, I need to prepare to be by myself. And what does that look like? What do I need to do? So, helping clients be aware of that really is our goal as counselors because every time they're lonely, they can't call and have a counseling session. I guess they can, but they can't call and have a counseling session every time. Um, because that wouldn't be the goal of counseling. The goal is to equip them to know what to do and be able to be more self-sufficient in that. And then it also helps us communicate our social needs if we already know them. So it's a more common thing now, but saying like, "Hey, my social battery is drained." That's a huge thing that people do now, and I think that's very important. Just being able to tell people in a very nice way. Like I'm done with people. I'm done. Because being social does take energy. So it helps us communicate that. It kind of goes into my third point, helping us understand and explain our needs and behaviors. Um, Helping us explain, like, yeah, I need to go be alone. Or, hey, we don't even have to really talk. If you come over, I just want to hang out with somebody. Like we can both watch TV. That's fine with me. That counts. So just being able to explain what we need and hey, I'm sorry I acted that way. My social battery was really low. Doesn't mean it's acceptable, but I really wanted to be alone at that point. So yeah, I think this is a good exercise. Just something simple questions to ask yourself for people that are good at reflecting and being aware of their own thoughts and behaviors. I think is these are good questions for those clients. That's all I have. I'm gonna figure out how to stop this recording at some point. I messed it up again. Goodness.